Hey guys, Cameron for 11/22/63, episode 6. Happy birthday, Lee Harvey Oswald. And damn, what an episode this was. I mean, this episode is everything I've wanted this show to be. And the thing with the show, I think the problem has been that they've been focusing on things that are interesting, but it's really been underutilized. Like the plots have been, let's spy on Oswald, or let's find out what's going on between him and Marina, not actually get inside the action. This is the episode where they get inside the action. Jake starts to meet Oswald. Jake gets to get inside his head. We start to get inside his head. And everything about this episode I loved. It really covered all the great aspects of the show. And it also really showed why Bill is not to be trusted at all. It definitely showed that. And I think Jake is realizing that as well. And it didn't come across as stupid. Like last week's episode, Bill just came across as stupid. And this week it didn't. I really love this episode. By far best episode of the season for me. And I understand you guys are like, this was better than episode 2. Episode 2 was a great throwaway episode. That's what it was. It was an episode that was tying loose ends, and it did a great job with that. But this is the episode where this is the consequence episode. The past starts to push back. You start to see problems go with Jake and Bill, and I honestly don't know how the show's going to end, which I really like. I like that the show is not really predictable at all, but I also really love what the show did in this episode, because right away we see we're 6 months later, which again, it's a very rapid show, but it needs to be because we need to get to 11/22/63. That's where we need to get to in the show. In order for us to do that, we need to move forward to October 16, 1963. So I love this first scene though, because a lot of people have said the one character has been very underutilized, and I have to agree, is Oswald. And that's a shame, because who's the person that's going to end up killing Kennedy is Oswald, and that's who the person that Jake needs to investigate. And finally in this episode, we see a lot more of Oswald, and not that we haven't, but it's been a lot of seeing Oswald through windows and not actually seeing the full picture. Like we see what Jake and Bill see, but we didn't actually see what's going on. And here we finally got a scene with Oswald that had nothing to do with Jake and Bill, and I love that. Oswald's interviewing for a job after asking the standard questions at the Dallas Schoolbook Depository, and after asking the standard questions, the manager Margaret tells worker Barney Lee to take Oswald over to payroll, and as he leaves later, Oswald finds an FBI agent, James P. Hosty, waiting for him, and Hosty welcomes Oswald back, says that he only talked to Marina because Oswald was gone, and he's pissed. I mean, obviously, he's disgusted. He walks away. Hosty tauntingly asks if he has Marina's new address, and you can tell that things have not been good between Oswald and Marina. Definitely, you can tell. And again, I don't know a lot about the history of Lee Harvey Oswald and his life and his wife Marina, but we know that she obviously, they had a lot of problems. You can definitely understand that, and they really did show that here. What I also love, though, is the crowd's reaction to Oswald. You can see that a lot of people do not like this guy, definitely. Like, as he's leaving, there are people chastising him. There are people that are looking at him, and they did a very good job with showing that. I definitely enjoyed that. So Oswald goes to Marina's new house, and her roommate Ruth Payne lets him in. This is probably the first scene we've actually seen Oswald and Marina together, because everything else we've seen has been, them having sex on tape, or Margaret and Oswald having this argument about Marina. We haven't really seen a lot of scenes of Oswald and Marina together, and this really shows how toxic their relationship really is. And it's not a bad relationship, it's just, it's gone wrong. And in the backyard, Oswald tells his wife that he got a job at the depository, and he asks Marina to come home. Marina asks if he loves her, and Oswald says that they're married and that he loves her, their daughter Junie, and their unborn child. He loves all of them, and when she hesitates, Oswald snaps at her. Marina says she'll think about it, and as she goes inside, Charlene comes over, tells Oswald to give Marina time and to not rush her, because Marina really needs to think about what she wants to do, or if she wants to come home. And it's clear that Oswald's very involved in his work. He's involved in his work. He's working with George. And of course, I don't know if she knows about that. I'm pretty sure Marina does. But you can tell that Marina just isn't really happy. And she really needs to think things over with Oswald. She's not really happy with him right now. So Jake returns to the apartment, finds Bill sleeping. He wakes him up, points out that Oswald got his job at the depository, and says that he's been busy taking care of Sadie, and Bill wonders why he can't use Al's notes to bet more, and Jake insists that they have to stick with small bets to avoid drawing attention, because that's a big part of it. They don't want to get involved, obviously. They don't want to cause a scene, and George shows up at Oswald's apartment. Jake listens in his conversation with Oswald. The CI man wonders how Oswald missed Walker, and we realize that they did miss Walker, and I like that we found that out here, because it it's such a relief. I was just thinking, thank God we found that out because it was really dumb last week, and I'm glad that we found out in this episode. Oswald said that he wouldn't waste his time with Walker, and Oswald agrees to go to George's house to have a drink with Jean, and Jake wonders if Oswald was playing dumb, and, if he was simply just playing dumb, and Bill suggests that Oswald wouldn't shoot JFK anymore because they've already changed the future. And I like this scene here. You see how different Bill and Jake are. Bill thinks that things are gonna just change very easily, but Jake knows the rules. Bill only knows what Jake's told him, and it really does show that Bill just doesn't know as much about time traveling as Jake does, because Jake knows pretty much everything that Al said to him, and Jake hasn't told Bill everything. Jake points out they haven't interacted with Oswald yet. He admits that he's still not sure that it's Oswald, so he doesn't want to kill him yet, because again, remember, they don't know if Oswald's the one that kills Kenny. That's just the suspicion that's going on. And Jake refuses to kill anymore. He doesn't want to kill anyone because he's already killed 2 people, and you can tell this has greatly affected him. Like, he really doesn't want to kill anyone anymore because, he already killed Johnny, and of course he killed Frank. He doesn't want to kill anyone else, and says that they'll kidnap Oswald if they don't tack it down by the end of the month and hold him until after 11/22. And Bill's unconvinced. He doesn't really want to go along with this plan, which I thought was interesting and I like seeing. So Jake then goes to Sadie's house, finds her playing poker with Deke, and Deke suggests that the disfigured Sadie come back to school to work, and asks Jake when he's going to marry Sadie. And as he goes, again, I love Jake and Sadie together, and also the dynamic between them really is changing, because, again, Sadie knows what's going on with him, and I really like seeing that. But basically, as he goes, Deke tells Jake that Mimi wants to talk to him once the principal leaves. I like that scene with Deke, because again, you see that they have kept up this friendship, and even though Jake is not working at the school anymore, they're still friends, and it's really good. It kind of reminds me of Justified because Nick Searchy was on that, and it very much reminds me of the character of Art. Obviously, this isn't as good as a character as Art Moore, I definitely will say that, but I think he's still doing a great job. It's great to see Nick Searchy on the show, and I never said how great Nick Searchy really is, because he really is great in this role. You guys know Nick Searchy's a great actor, though, because, of course, Justified. So once the principal leaves, Sadie says the plastic surgeons want to move up her last surgeries to the next day, and she wants to be done with the hospitals and worries about the cost, and Jake tells her not to worry about it. Sadie asks him why he doesn't call the police about Oswald, and the teacher says that the Dallas police screw up the case, and he doesn't trust them because of that. Because the police aren't going to really do anything, they're going to ruin things for him. They're not going to go the way he wants it to. And Sadie admits that she's scared about her last surgery. Jake assures her that it'll be okay, and you can tell she wants to get the scar removed, which I think she looks fine, honestly. I mean, there's a huge scar here, but she looks fine. I don't really notice much of a difference. But obviously, she wants to get removed. It bothers her. And of course, I think just remembering how she got it, knowing how it happened to her, that it wasn't, a burn or something like that. It was her ex-husband that did it to her. I mean, I think that's really what it's about. It's more of a humiliation thing than it is of her just wanting to get rid of a scar. And I really think that's what's going on there, which is very interesting. And I really like the way that's being played out. And then we get this random scene that is really great. And let me say, Mimi hasn't done a whole lot in this show, but what they've done a great job with is Mimi could have just been another character that works in the school, but the chemistry between her and Jake is so strong, their friendship is so great, that whenever she comes on, I am in love with their scenes. I mean, they just work so well together. Mimi asks him to tell Sadie that they went back to her school, that they want her back at the school. Jake admits that he won't marry Sadie because he doesn't want to hurt her, and he knows what'll happen if he does marry her, because of course he knows he's gonna have to go back to the present. But again, Jake's from not realizing that if he goes back to the present and nothing changes, nothing's gonna change at all. And Mimi abruptly says that she has cancer and not much time, and it's very serious cancer. And it's interesting. I mean, medical technology wasn't as good back then. Probably nowadays she would be able to survive with this cancer, but now, medical technology, it's not great, and that's why she doesn't have much time left. And it's a sad scene, but she refused to go to Mexico for experimental treatments because Jody is her home, and Jake starts crying. Mimi makes him promise to be a friend to Deke and to marry Sadie, and I like what she talks about, that she's always liked Deke. Like, her and Deke have always liked each other, but they've never done anything, and she wants him to not make the same mistake with Sadie, and that's why she wants them married. It has nothing to do with the fact that they work so well together and that they are a great couple. It's the fact that her and Deke, they've always loved each other, but they haven't done anything. It's kind of one of those things where they knew they both liked each other, but they just didn't move forward with anything. There was no relationship or anything like that. And Mimi doesn't want the same thing for Jake, and I like the way that was done. Definitely really great scene. Love that. And I do think this might be one of the final times we see Mimi. I don't think it's going to be the final time. I think we are going to see her again in the finale. But very sad news, definitely. But I think it does go with her character. It makes sense, obviously. I mean, she had this, she had this bond with Jake, and they just worked so well together, and I love seeing that. So later, Jake goes to a bar, places a bet on a boxing match with the owner, Charlene. She calls the owner Sam to handle it because Jake wants bigger action. Sam gives Jake 4-1, and Jake bets $800 because, of course, he needs to keep betting so he gets money. When Jake goes back to the apartment, there's no sign of Bill. Bill's just fled, and I was thinking Bill left because he didn't agree with Jake. And Jake listens to surveillance gear, hears Oswald's friends and family throwing Oswald a birthday party. He listens which of course is where the episode gets its title from, and he listens as Marina thanks Bill for coming and then goes upstairs. And obviously Jake is pissed because the one thing he didn't want them to get involved. And then we see Oswald's brother Bobby escort him in. Jake tells Margaret that he's looking for Bill, and Bill and Oswald are drinking together. Oswald dances with Margaret. Jake talks to Bill privately, warns him that he's messing with the past and that the past is going to push back because of this. And Bill explains he's come up there and had a couple of beers with Oswald, and Oswald has never said anything about JFK, and that he doesn't feel that Oswald's going to be the one to kill him. He doesn't even think that Oswald has any plans with that. And he doesn't even think that Oswald's that dangerous of a guy, which I kind of see Bill's point. I mean, the way he's just kind of caring, hanging out with them. He doesn't know what Oswald's capable of. He just doesn't, because of the fact that, the news articles, things like that, they haven't happened yet. And that's the thing. I don't think that Lee Harvey Oswald's a very, man to tell that's exactly who he is. I feel like he's much more discreet, and he has a lot more going on with him, and he just doesn't show it. So Marina suddenly has labor pains. Bill tells Oswald to take Marina to the hospital. Oswald figures that it isn't time yet, that it's just, contractions, and that it's not actually that she's going to labor, and that's just, early signs, basically, which it's crazy that he thinks that, but it also shows how disconnected these two really are. George and Jean arrive, and Jake tells Bill that they're leaving. Bill refuses to go, and as they struggle, they knock over a lamp, which they literally get into a fight here, which I thought was crazy, but you can understand why. I mean, Bill is not doing anything that Jake is telling him to do, and I don't know why Jake's just not abandoning Bill, but I think it's also because he promised to give Bill a life, to give him something to do and give him a purpose, and he's not just going to abandon him. That's the thing. Jake's a good guy, and he doesn't just abandon people, and he wants this to go as clean as possible, and he doesn't want to make any enemies. That's the other thing, and if he makes an enemy of Bill, that could end up really bad for him, and he doesn't want to do that. So that's why I think Jake is sticking with Bill. He doesn't want to make an enemy, and it makes sense. So Lee examines it, finds one of the bugs, and figures that the FBI planted it. He loses his temper, starts smashing things, storms out despite Marina and George's objections, and he's obviously really pissed at what's going on because he knows the FBI planted this bug, and of course, they're not the one that did. It was all, Jake and Bill, but he doesn't know even who Jake is. So Jake goes back to the apartment, waits for Bill to return. As he wakes, Jake sees Bill with Marina through the window, and when Bill comes in, they fight. Bill finally shoves Jake away. He says that he and Marina love each other and threatens to tell Oswald everything if Jake gets in his way. And you know what? I buy Marina and Bill. I really do. This episode, I really have bought them. It's taken me a few episodes, but I really do feel these two genuinely care for each other. Bill gives Marina the love and care and the time that Oswald doesn't give her. That's why she loves him so much, because he admires her for who she is, and he doesn't see her as this slut like, Oswald's mother does, and he really cares for her, and you really do see that, and I like the way they handled that. Really great stuff with Marina and Bill in this episode, and I honestly really do believe that these two love each other, honestly. Like I said, it's taken me some time, but this episode got me to buy it, honestly. So he threatens to tell Oswald everything if Jake gets in his way. Bill draws a gun, orders Jake out, telling him to go back to Sadie and not come back, and he wants nothing to do with him. He doesn't want to be part of this, and Bill literally says, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be concentrating on my own life. Marina loves me and he wants to focus on her, which is very interesting. It really shows how far Bill has come as a character. And a lot of people say Bill's not smart, and I don't think that's the case. I feel like Bill just has always had his own agenda, and he's only allied with Jake to get closer to Marina, and as this has gone on, that's really what's been going on. So, of course, that wasn't initially what he did. He didn't know he was going to fall in love, but now he's in love. He loves Marina, and he's not just gonna leave because they make him happy and he loves them. So later, Oswald goes to a shooting range. He can't afford the fee, offers to work to make the difference. Once the owner agrees, Oswald goes out, shoots, hitting a bullseye every single time, and we don't know why he's there, if it's for killing Kennedy because he hasn't told anyone about it, which it makes sense why Oswald won't tell anyone, because he's not just going to say it straight out, I'm going to kill the president of the United States. Obviously, Oswald's not going to say that. But I can understand why Bill is kind of naive here. He doesn't think that Oswald's a bad guy because he doesn't present himself that way. But I think deep down, Oswald has a much darker agenda than we think, and I think they really show that very well here. So Jake and Sadie are waiting for Deke to take things to take him to the hospital. He tells her what happened. He refused to call the police, figuring that it will make things worse if he has Bill arrested. Jake says that after the operation, he'll go back, talk to Bill. Zeke arrives, takes them to Parkland, and while they wait in the hospital, Sadie says that she wants the scar removed so that she never has to think of Johnny again, and that's the main reason. She asks for him about the future, and Jake assures that he will love her now and in the future. And I understand some people think it's a cheesy line, but just something about them, they're just so sweet. I love these two together. I mean, I love them. I really do. So Jake joins Deke in the hallway, and Jake sees what is by far the most terrifying thing he has seen in a long time. I mean, there have been some terrifying things, but there's nothing more terrifying than the yellow card man from Maine. Because what was the first thing the yellow card man said to him? You shouldn't be here. And he said that ever since, and basically, I think the yellow card man that's when we know the past is pushing back from that yellow card man. And that's why Al said, don't get involved, don't talk to him, because the yellow card man is the guy that's going to screw things up, and the yellow card man is the past. That's who he is. He's the one that's going to try to mess with Jake, and Jake tries to go after him, discovers the doors between them is locked. He panics. Deke tries to calm him down. Jake says that something's wrong. Of course, Deke doesn't know this stake in the scope of what's going on, obviously, while Jake does, so Deke just thinks he's crazy. The doctors begin the surgery, unaware that the nitrous oxide levels in the anesthesia are rising, and Jake breaks the door's window with a fire extinguisher, and the plastic surgeon, Dr. Gelberg, administers the anesthesia. Jake barges in and says that they have to stop the surgery, and the anesthesiologist confirms they have a technical issue, and Sadie wasn't getting any oxygen, and if they hadn't stopped, she would have died. So in many ways, he did do the right thing, and I like seeing Jake go into full, just, I don't even know what you call it, but just full wild animal mode to save Sadie. It was amazing to see, and I love that. Full rescue mode, that's what I'm trying to say. Full rescue mode, amazing to see, and I really love that. And scenes like that, that's why I love this show. I mean, I've said it before. The show really knows how to handle tension, and they did a great job with that. But I also love some of the more tender scenes, which we got both of them in this episode, and I love that. So later at home, Sadie realized that the surgeons were unable to fix the scar. Jake assures her that she's perfect, and Sadie asks him if she's in the way of his mission to save JFK. And I like that she asked him this question because, remember, what was the one thing that Al said? Don't get attached, and he has. But he assures her that she's not going to get rid of them that easily, and that she hasn't gotten in the way at all. I mean, he's just found love along the way. He never came there to find love, obviously, but he never disregarded, like, he never said, oh, I'm not going to find love. Like, he never said that. He only went in with what Al told him, and he's playing things a lot different than Al is, and I like that Sadie asked him this question because it shows how different things have changed between these two. Now that he doesn't have to lie her anymore, things are a lot more lax between these two. She isn't accusing him of as many things, and she knows what's going on, and I like that this has really fixed their relationship for the better. Like, she knows she can trust him, and I like seeing that. So Jake drives back to the Dallas apartment, sees Bill out on the step. Oswald comes out with a rifle, and Jake sees Bill jokingly fire the gun. Jake realizes that he's the second shooter. He goes inside later, tells Bill that Marina's in the hospital alone having the baby. She was asking for Bill. Bill insists on going to the hospital. Jake takes him to a doctor, Morin, and Morin introduces himself and asks Bill to come with him to talk. Jake apologizes, and orderlies come out. Bill runs for it, but the orderlies tackle him. When Bill rants about Jake killing Frank, Morin assumes that he's just as insane as Jake told him, and Jake confirms that Bill can't sign himself out because he's incompetent, and he's now locked him in a mental institution, which I can understand why Jake's done that. He wants Bill out of his life, and he's going to do whatever he can to get him out of there. And I'm sure we'll see Bill again, but right now, he's in a mental institution, and that's crazy. I can't believe that Jake actually did that. But it's also a very ballsy move because Jake can do this on his own. He really can. He doesn't need Bill. Bill's not really going to do him any favors, and I think he knows that. And I like Jake saying that he's incompetent because he is. He's incompetent of going with the mission. He's going to do his own thing, and that's what pisses him off. And later, Jake follows Oswald, watches him meet with George. They receive an envelope, and once Oswald moves on, Jake follows George to a flower shop, and when George goes back to his car parked in an alley, Jake wraps a cord around his neck from the backseat, demands to know about his friendship with Oswald, and I thought he was just going to straight up kill George. Remember, he said in the first scene that I'm not going to kill anymore. He said that. And he implies that he's with the CIA, demands to know the truth, and George tells him pretty much everything we need to know. And this was really the first, actual scene we got with George. Not that we haven't had some scenes, but most of them have been little conversations here and there with him and Oswald. And this really showed, I think, the purpose of of George, basically. So George tells him that he told his handler that he was winding Oswald up. And after Walker was shot, George told his handler, but nobody in the CIA did anything about it. Even though, he was shot, no one did anything. So as for the envelope, George admits that he paid Oswald to water his lawn. He really did it to give Marina money because they're both from Minsk, but he's too proud to take money for his wife. And George insists that he doesn't know of any plan to kill JFK and that he supports JFK because he's fighting the communists who took over Russia. And basically, we see that Jake then has a memory of Al telling him that George was the only one who could have set Oswald up to assassinate JFK, and if Jake confirms that George wasn't involved, then the only thing he can do is kill Oswald before Oswald kills JFK. And it's clear here that that's what's going on, that, George is completely innocent. Like, George didn't really do anything wrong, and George had nothing to do with him killing JFK, which means Oswald did it alone. And basically, Jake wonders if there's any way to stop Oswald without killing him, and Al says that there isn't. And Jake is realizing here, I gotta kill him. I have to kill Oswald, and he doesn't want to do that, but he realizes that he has to. So once he's satisfied that George is telling the truth, Jake tells him to never talk to Oswald again, and if he tells anyone about their conversation, that George will be killed, and that's the end of that. So that night, Jake calls Sadie, says that he knew that Oswald acts alone. For me, this was the most heartbreaking scene out of anything we've seen in the show, and I'll tell you guys why when we get to the ending of this episode. But he tells her that Bill's out of the way, and now all he needs to do is what he came to do, and then it'll be over. Sadie tells him to hurry, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to kill Oswald, and then he'll be done. And Sadie tells him to hurry. Jake asks her to marry him, and I like that he said that because everyone's been telling him to do that, but he is now at a point where he wants to marry her. She tells him to come home, and she'll give him an answer, and Jake agrees, and it's a really nice scene. But then, all of a sudden, Sam and his men get out of a nearby car. Jake runs. The men easily chase him down. They beat him. Sam explains that he owns all the gambling houses that Jake has been betting at, and where Bill made the same bet in 3 different places, and Jake promises to get it back. Sam says that he has to make an example of him first. He pistol whips Bill and then leaves with his men, and Jake tries to crawl away, passes out, and you can tell that they're starting to get suspicious of Jake, why he's doing this, and obviously they're really upset. He's stealing their money, and you can understand why they're really upset about this, but he tries to crawl away, he passes out, and that was crazy, the way that Jake just passed out like that. And then the ending of this episode was so psychological and so truly scary and so riveting. And it's just, it really felt like a Stephen King scene. Like, this show in general hasn't felt like a Stephen King show at all, which I haven't had a problem with. But this was the first scene that really felt like true Stephen King territory, and I love that. So Jake wakes up in a hospital bed. Sadie's there. Jake hallucinates that she's his ex-wife, Christy. If you remember, that is the girl that way back in the first episode he was getting a divorce with, and he fades in and out of consciousness, doesn't recognize Sadie. Dr. Jones tells Sadie that Jake has had a traumatic head injury and doesn't know how long it will take for Jake to recover, and that's how the episode ends. So I can understand people are upset that, oh, they're just randomly adding drama, but no, that's not what this is. This is the past pushing back. That's what this is. The past is now pushed back, and like it gave Al cancer, it has given Jake amnesia, and it's slowing him down from completing his mission. Remember, Al couldn't do it. Al couldn't complete the mission because he got cancer, and Jake's not going to be able to do it because he has this amnesia. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to get better, but right now it's going to be a problem, and I can't wait to see what happens in these next 2 episodes. But, I mean, Jake now has amnesia, and it's going to be crazy to see what happens there, if Sadie's going to be able to pull him out of it, if Bill's going to have to pull him out of it. I mean, we see in the promo that Jake doesn't even remember what him and Bill were doing or what him and Sadie were. He doesn't know any of that stuff, and I'm interested in seeing really what's going to happen there. It's going to be very interesting, and I like the way the past is pushing back, but like I said, I think the yellow card man, the yellow card man is really the main threat here. Like, whenever he shows up, you gotta run away because he's gonna make sure the past pushes back, and a lot of it is Bill's fault because he got involved and Jake told him not to, and then he did change things and the past pushed back because of that, but in many ways it's not Bill's fault either. But you can tell the gamblers, they are starting to get suspicious of what Bill and Jake are doing, and it's interesting in seeing what's going on there. I can't wait to see what happens with that. But the most tragic thing about this scene is the fact that Jake literally just told Sadie, I'm going to marry you, and, you can give me an answer when I come home, and then when he passes out, he has amnesia, and that's what's so tragic here. And that is the reason why I feel this is the past pushing back. It has nothing to do with the fact that Jake has the amnesia, it's why he has the amnesia and what it prevents him from doing. It prevents him from marrying Sadie, it prevents him from killing Oswald, and it prevents him from doing anything else with Bill. I mean, it really prevents him from a lot of things, and Obviously, these are things he wanted to do, and it really sucks that this had to happen. But again, this really was the past pushing back. I really love the way the scene was done. Amazing stuff there. And this episode in general really was amazing. I mean, this was the episode that told us that George is not at all involved. I mean, while he's working with Oswald, he's not the one that's telling Oswald to kill JFK. Oswald clearly has this on his mind, but he's not just going to outright tell anyone, I'm going to kill the President of the United States. I mean, obviously, there'd be so many people after him, and he's just not going to do that. I mean, a smart, intelligent person does not just randomly tell someone, I'm going to kill the President of the United States. Nobody does that. That's why he obviously didn't say anything. So, very interesting. I honestly like the development between Bill and Marina because Bill's making a life for himself that has nothing to do with Jake. He wants to be on his own, and he doesn't want Jake in his life. And you can understand that. He doesn't really want anything to do with him. He doesn't really want to complete this mission. Well, he kind of has. He's fallen in love with Marina, and Marina loves him, and I like that relationship between these two. And it doesn't feel forced. Like, it feels like it makes sense. Bill's giving her what Oswald can't, and you understand that, and I like the way they're handling it. I definitely really like, Bill and Marina. I didn't think I was going to. I really thought it was going to be the forced thing in the show, but it's working, really. I think they've really made this work, and I like these two together, honestly. I really do. I think that they're actually really good together, and I like what they've done with them. Definitely. Really good stuff there. Um, you can tell that things are definitely starting to go wrong for Jake. The thing with him and Mimi, again, not a huge crucial scene, but very important in the sense that, that's also a relationship he's made. He's made all these relationships. He's done everything that Alice told him not to do, and he doesn't really care. And honestly, I don't blame him for not caring because he's gone closer with people. He has allies. He's gotten people on his side. He's not really doing anything wrong per se, but all what he is doing is just doing the complete opposite of what Al told him not to do, and that's why this is such a problem because it's gonna end up, the past has pushed back. It's given Jake amnesia, and what happens next, I don't really know. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens next. I don't really know where we go from here. But overall, guys, amazing episode. Absolutely love this episode. Like I said, by far best episode of best episode of the series. I love this episode. I do think the next two episodes could be better. Definitely, I think the finale especially is going to be incredible. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Because again, Jake was supposed to kill Oswald, and in his mind, I don't really know if he's going to come back to that, if he's going to realize. I mean, at some point, he has to realize what the mission is. I feel like by the end of next week's episode, the amnesia might be gone, or something's going to happen with that. Something's going to happen where the amnesia either is going to be gone, or he's not going to have to worry about it anymore. I don't really know, but something's going to happen with that. But overall, guys, how much you guys saw this episode. Absolutely love this episode. Definitely my favorite so far. And I'm not going to count episode 2 just because, like I said, episode 2 was a great episode, but in hindsight, it was just a episode tying up loose ends. It didn't really set up the plot. It didn't really, the plot didn't really get going till episode 3, and episodes 1 and 2 were setup episodes. Episode 1 was Jake going into the past and, lowering all the rules. And episode 2 was Jake really trying to figure out, is this really going to work? Can I really change things? And, of course, he did. And now the past is pushing back because of that. And I don't think this is just because of what happened with Bill or everything. It's every single action that Jake has done. Him getting together with Sadie, killing her husband, killing Frank, saving Harry, doing all those little things that he's done that didn't seem like big things, and even helping out Mimi, like what he did for Mimi that one time when she was getting harassed because, of her color and everything. Just those little things here and there, that's also why the past is pushing back, and I think it's very interesting overall. But overall, guys, how much you guys saw this episode. Like I said, best one so far, in my opinion. Really love this episode, and we'll see you guys in my next show, which will be for Aim to Shield, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.